Torres, What an Enormous Room album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Torres, aka Mackenzie Scott. She's been at it for a few years now and started putting herself on the map with her self-titled debut album. A couple of years ago, this thing definitely had a lot of great tracks on it, and I thought that she was a solid addition to this modern indie singer-songwriter club, mostly due to the vocal performances and her in-depth emotional lyrics. But I do think at the end of the day, this album was a little bit long at times, a little bit bloated, but overall, I did see the appeal and I casually enjoyed. But her follow-up album, the Sprinter record, I thought this album was all around a much more compelling listen. I saw her around this time, I met her, I got a signed copy of the album, and she's genuinely one of the most humble musicians I've ever met. It was definitely a pressure cooker of an album, one that you just really needed to sit with and just kind of let it grow a little bit, but it was really good. Now, her follow-up album, Three Futures, at the time, I thought it was decent. I thought it was just kind of okay, but some of the more experimental cuts on there, I felt like they did not go over nearly as well as Torres believed that they did. So much so that when she dropped her Silver Tongue album in 2020, I wasn't really hyped for it at the end of the day. But it's one that I enjoyed when I first reviewed it, and I still love it. I just think that as far as more experimental, weirdo sound from Torres, this was the way to go. And very clearly, I thought this was the direction that she was going to be going in. But clearly, I'm an idiot because in 2021, she dropped her Thirstier record. And this album really caught me off guard in a lot of ways. This was a complete departure almost from Torres' early work. This was an upbeat, sort of jangly and grungy garage rock record. Some power pop thrown in as well. It was so catchy as well. I loved it so much, I gave it a light 9, and it was one of my favorite records of the year. Now, it's been a while since we've heard from Mackenzie under the Torres name, and I don't know why, but leading up to this album, the singles, they were just okay to me. They weren't really grabbing me, and I did seem to be a little worried about the music that we were going to be getting here. And lo and behold, this album is a pretty big backstep. Now, Happy Man's Shoes, as an intro, I do really like this track. Now, this is a very experimental album for Torres, much like her Silver Tongue record and the Three Futures record, and this one gets genuinely out there. There's a lot of synth and a very bulky bass riff, and honestly, I do enjoy it. Mostly because it's Torres' performance here that really catches me off guard and just grabs me and won't let go. It is so passionate. When she is on her game, she is so commanding and personal. And that's what we get here, and that's just fine by me. I mean, I'm not shocked at this point when Torres switches up her sound. Life as We Don't Know It, also, I really do love this track. This track is one of the more upbeat ones here. It's got a recklessness that I actually really love. The synth work, too, is really well done. This is maybe my favorite track here. Also, the production here, it's a little gnarly. I love that. It's just one of the most instantaneous and straightforward tracks here, and something about me just really does like that. Also, it's just good for me to just watch Torres let loose a little. I do love that. Ugly Mystery is one of the more hypnotic tracks here. This one is definitely a patience tester. You have to sit with it, and really, honestly, it's a pressure cooker, and it hits hard. Torres sounds absolutely otherworldly here, just hovering over this very atmospheric instrumental. It sounds just so cool. And we're going to get there, but there are a lot more subtle tracks on this album that just kind of rub me the wrong way, but this is the way to do it. It's a brooding, tense track that is overflowing with emotion. It's beautiful and intensely human, much like Torres herself. And Collect may be the best track here. This is a seriously intense one. I love the patience here, the way that this track just slowly plods along, all building up to that gigantic chorus. It's a great single, one of the heaviest tracks that Torres has ever done as well. And I mean that on many levels. Sadly, though, a lot of these deep cuts here, some of the more experimental cuts, I don't think they pan out that well. Like, I Got the Fear, for example. I'm looking at this track, and I'm just not feeling it. I will always commend an artist for branching out and trying something new. Whether or not it works, though, is a different story. This track is so sluggish, it's like pulling teeth to get through. And if Torres at least had something, interesting to say or had a powerful vocal performance on a track like this, I can see it. But in this case, we don't get that. It's in one ear and out the other, sadly. Also, Wake to Flowers I've not been a fan of. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but a lot of these more subtle tracks here could have used some grooming. I have so many of the same feelings on this track, and I can't shake him. Once again, this instrumental is very light on the ears, and if Torres really gave us an explosive performance on top of it, that'd be one thing. I don't think we get that. It's okay, it's a little bit better than the last track, but overall, I'm not feeling this. I feel like this track just never gets into the gear that it wants to get into. I feel like we've been here before. I think Jerkin to Joy is by far the worst track here. I don't even know what this is. Not only is it the least impressive track here, it's honestly one of the worst tracks in any genre that I've heard in a while. This is Torres trying so hard to be a little artsy and a little experimental, and she can do that. That's fine. We've seen it before. But this is her going way too far down the rabbit hole. Everything about this track is kind of annoying. Everything from the obnoxious lyrics to this instrumental that I can't make heads or tails out of. And Songbird Forever as a finale is just so incredibly safe. I mean, like, as an album as a whole, I feel like this thing has barely started and got to where it even halfway wanted to go. It's a very average piano ballad, and it's not like she can't put out a ballad. Hell, there are multiple better ballads on this record. It's sadly a very middle-of-the-road record, and I wish that I didn't have to say that, honestly. But there are some great late album moments. Artificial Limbs is certainly one of them. I mean, for a 6-minute plus track, which scared the hell out of me coming down the pipe, I think this goes over really well. It's spacey, it's cosmic, it's synth-driven, it's very, very pensive. But the star here is Torres, as it should be, as she once again hovers above this monolithic instrumental and gives us a hell of a performance. This is the ticket. This is a great experiment that works out from start to finish and sounds awesome. I am glued for all 6 minutes, and Forever Home is really good too. I mean, by this point, you shouldn't be shocked by the amount of synths and electronic elements on this album. They've been here the whole time, and honestly, this is one of the most tasteful uses of them. It's got that drive. I love the low-key bass riff that just keeps grooving, and Torres' performance, while it might not be her biggest or boldest, is one of her most passionate, direct, and genuinely catchy. In a lot of ways, this track seems like a mission statement for the album, which is... it's sadly middle of the road. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are performances on this album that stack up to everything great that Torres has ever done. And she's done a lot of really good stuff recently. I just feel like some of the experiments this time around do not pan out well. Or as well as I feel like Torres thought they did. It's kind of middle of the road at the end of the day. Especially with like the title track and that really lame finale. It's just so safe. I'm kind of just feeling a decent 6 on this album for now. But let me know what you all think down below. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.